there, my name is Irene, and in this video, I like to show you how you can use images to model 3D components. So let's get to it. So the objective here is going to be to model geometry that it is not necessarily a part of your design, as in you are not designing it, but it is a significant enough part of your design that it needs to be in the project, and you search on the 3D warehouse and you will not be able to find the specific model or anything similar enough. So this is something that you're going to use most often with things such as furniture or decor elements. So I already have what I want to model here. So let's say that I want to work with the Margot Raffia nightstand from West Elm, not sponsored. And basically what we will need is going to be at least one very good front picture of the object that we will be modeling, if you can get it with no other objects. So basically, you want to follow the same rules that we were following when we're selecting images to use as textures, because basically we are going to be modeling from this image. Similarly to the way that we did when we were modeling a 2D component using a reference image, except that this time it's going to be a 3D object. Now, depending on the nature of the geometry, you may need additional images. So for example, if this nightstand here would have some details on the side, then I would want to make sure that I am getting images of the side or the back or whatnot. But in this case, I chose this one in particular because it's relatively simple. So we only really need to worry about nailing the front. The other thing that you will need is going to be obviously the dimensions. So here it is telling me that it's 20 inches and a half wide by 17 depth and 25 height. So we are going to start by saving the image that we will be using as a reference. So I'm going to right click, save image as, and I'm just going to save it on my desktop. I don't really care about the name. So I'm going to go save. And now I am going to get back to my dimensions, and then I'm going to go into SketchUp. So because the image that we have is a front view, I am going to align to that on my standard views. So I'm going to go front view here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by drawing a rectangle that will be bigger than what I need. So we said that the nightstand was about 21 inches by 25 inches in terms of width and height. So I'm going to draw a rectangle that is more than that. So let's say 3 feet by 3 feet should be fine. Again, it doesn't have to be any specific accurate dimensions. We just want it to be bigger than the dimensions of our object. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a material that will have that image of the nightstand. So I'm going to call it nightstand, and I'm going to load my image. Once again, I'm not concerned with the scale because I'm going to be scaling it in the model. And before I bring my image in, I'm going to set up guidelines marking the actual dimensions of the geometry that I'm going to be modeling. So before measuring tape, and then from an edge, we said that the width was 20 inches and a half, and we said that the height was 25 inches. And now I'm going to bring my image in. B for bucket, click, and there is my nightstand. So now the first thing that I need to do is use my texture position to scale my image. And now here, again, I want to try to be as precise as possible. And what I want you to pay attention is that I don't need to see the back of the nightstand. So basically my image has to end right here on this edge. So I am going to a little bit more see where my legs are. If you want to, you can just pick your pins and use that to help you with the scaling. So let's say that I want my pin to go right there. And then I'm going to pick this pin and I want it to be aligned just so my life is a little bit easier. And I want it to be there. Sure, why not? So now see, now I can bring this guy to the front. I can bring this guy to the top, and there you go. Now my scaling is correct. If I want to move it now, stay on that edge, and then let's see. I need to distort this guy a little bit. Like the stretching is not correct, so I'm gonna use my stretch tool. Oh crap! Oh no! Learn from my mistakes. I make this mistake at least once every so often. If you want to undo texture position, if you escape, it will basically undo everything. So make sure that you don't escape while you are working with your texture position. I need to learn my lessons the hard way, don't I? You know what? That's fine. You live and you learn. What I'm going to do here this time is instead I'm going to put it here for the width, because then that way I'm going to be able to use this guy for the stretch. Is it ideal? No. Is it better than nothing? Yes. So this is what we will do, and hopefully you will learn my lessons with less suffering. Stretch. There you go. Oh no, it's a little bit, I need it to be just a little bit less because I'm not picking it there. You know what? I can bring this guy here, right there to that corner. Perfect. And now I can just do this. Yes, that's much better. The image is a little bit distorted, and I am a stickler for details. So I'm going to use my distort to bring this guy in. There you go. And now my image perfectly matches my outline of my guidelines. And I'm going to press enter to finish. All right, so now before I continue with the next step, I want to clarify that this is not going to be like when we model the 2D component. I'm not just going to follow the outline of this object because this object will be 3D. So basically what I want to do now is I want to break down the modeling into parts the same way that I would do if I would be modeling a complex piece of furniture or millwork. So right now here, I'm going to basically have one component that is going to be like the main box of my nightstand. I'm going to have another component that is going to be the legs, and then I'm going to have a third one that is going to be these handles here. So in order to do this, I'm going to select this rectangle and I'm going to copy it 3 times at the same distance. And you're going to see why this is important in a second. So let's say that we're going to go with 4 feet, enter, and then times 2. So I get 2 of them. And now I'm going to start modeling. So the first part that I'm going to do is the easiest. It's going to be the box that is the nightstand. And this is basically just going to be a rectangle that follows the outline that I drew. I'm going to ignore this part here because, again, remember, this is perspective. This is distortion. This is not a part of the model. So I'm going to go for rectangle. And I'm just going to draw a rectangle that follows the outline. Let's say we're going to put it there. That's good. Perfect. So once I've drawn this, I can get rid of the rest of the rectangle. I don't need my guidelines anymore, so I can go edit and delete guides. And now we are going to convert this into our first 3D object. So again, if we go back to the dimensions, the depth of this nightstand is 17. And keep in mind that usually when you measure the depth of an object, you're not really considering the handles. You're just considering like the box itself. So I'm saying that because I'm basically going to push-pull this guy 17 inches. Now, can you see how my guy is disappearing? Well, in order to avoid this issue, what I'm going to do is before I push-pull, I'm going to go B for bucket, and I'm going to pick up on this material. And you're going to see, because basically what I'm going to do is that I'm going to reapply the material. So I'm going to push-pull 17 inches, enter, and now if I go B for bucket and I paint the face, it's just going to put it exactly in the same place. Now, be careful. You may be tempted to select the full geometry and go paint. You don't want to do that because then you're going to get drawers and drawers in places that you would not want to have drawers. So I'm going to go Control Z, and instead, what we're going to do is the following. I am going to create a new material, which is going to be a solid color. So I'm just going to uncheck my texture here. I'm going to call this guy side of nightstand. That's how you write it. And then I'm going to go OK. And I'm going to paint all the other sides this color. Now, immediately I can tell you that this color is not bad because it basically averaged all the colors in the image, but it is not perfect. So what I'm going to do is that after I've applied my material, I can go here to edit. And what I'm going to do is I want to match the color to pixels. So to do that, I can go here to match color on screen. And I'm going to click, let's say here, click. And that is going to edit the material so it looks much more closely related to this front of my nightstand. So to add a few additional details, like I could leave it like this, but you know, I love detailing. I'm going to use my offset key to create an offset just to highlight the boundary between the nightstand and the drawers. If I want to add even more detail, I can use my push-pull tool and here just push-pull just a little bit, like 1/8 of an inch. It's just going to give a little bit of depth to my nightstand. See, very nice. Now make sure that you're using that same nightstand material to fill in here the gaps, because otherwise it's going to want to like repeat whatever other material, the projection of the material, and then that may show things that you don't want to see. And then just to be super fancy bougie, I just want to mark where my drawer division is. So from here to there. Okay, so this is going to be the first part of my nightstand. When I'm done, I can just select the whole thing, right click, component, and this is going to be nightstand box. Okay, thing 1, done. The next object is going to be my legs. Now the legs are different because they are cylindrical. And the other thing is that I don't need to model all 4 legs. Just need to model one, make it a component, and then copy paste it as many times as I need to. So I'm going to choose this leg here. It doesn't really matter. Like they both kind of look the same. So I'm going to go with this guy here. So I am going to use guidelines to mark basically where I think the leg starts and ends. I can use my X-ray vision to see the guideline. There you go. It should be an inch, but I don't want to see that edge. This is super important. When you are doing this, you don't want to see any of the background, and you're going to see why in a second. There you go. So I am going to go just a little bit in, okay? And now I'm going to use my line, and I'm going to draw one line because basically I want to find the midpoint, because I'm going to use the revolve tool to basically create a 360 extrusion for my leg. And the other thing that I don't need to do is follow this curve. This curve is a result of perspective. So what I'm going to do instead is ignore it, make it into a straight line, And then I'm going to go down here. You may notice that I'm not precisely following. Don't worry, we're going to use materials to correct this. It's the metallic finish that I really care about anyway, so it's fine. So I'm going to go here, Control X. I don't need the guidelines anymore, so delete. And I do not need the rest of the cube, of the rectangle, so I'm just going to delete that as well. I just need a single leg. All right, I'm going to now create a circle. Remember, because we're using revolve, it doesn't really matter what size the circle is. In fact, I can delete the face because all we really want is the path. Now, before I use my follow me, I'm going to do something. I am going to create a copy of the leg, and you will see why in a second. So I'm going to select my path, follow me, profile, and there is my leg. Now, this is why I created a copy of the leg, because basically you can see that the material is all messed up, and I'm going to fix this by making this into a projected texture and then applying it to this shape. This is why I saved this copy aside. So I'm going to select this guy and apply. And this is also why when I was drawing it, I drew it a little bit in. Because if you use a projected texture and you are seeing a little bit of the background, then on the sides, it would look white. Okay, there you go. That's looking much nicer. I no longer need this guy. I can try to bring this guy down now that I've created the material. Let's see if it's... See, you start seeing the white, which I don't want to see. So instead, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come here to my colors. I'm going to basically overwrite this black. I don't like the fact that I'm seeing like a little bit of the gold. So I'm going to overwrite it with this dark gray. And then I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to use scale because scale... Oh, no, it's not working. Let's leave it that way. I can't always have it all. So I'm going to select my leg. I'm going to right click. I'm going to turn it into a component. This is going to be leg. And I'm going to say create. Now, this is why I moved them a specific dimension that I knew. Because now I can come here and say, okay, you're going to go 4 feet. And that is going to place it exactly where it should be. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I basically want to find the offset. So the offset here seems to be about, let's see, about 278 inches. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is because I want my other leg to be the same distance. So see, I can come here, select that guideline, put it over here, and now I can copy to the same position. So I can come here, copy this guy, and now I have both legs in the same position. And now that they're done, I can just copy them to the back. So these are going to be my back legs. And now the last thing that I need to do, I'm going to delete my guidelines, is just offset them back because as I already said, they're not supposed to be flush. Now, I don't need this one to be like perfectly perfect. So I'm going to just eyeball it. The offset should be similar to what we have from the sides, which is about what, like 2 3/4. It's more like 3 inches. So you know what? Let's go 3. Let's round it up. Then we're going to go 3 again. There you go. And there, ooh, it's starting to take shape. Now, one last thing to do, and that is going to be my handles. And you should kind of like have an understanding of what we're doing at this point. I don't need to model both handles. I just need to model one of them. And then it's going to be a component that it's going to repeat. Now, I'm not getting a very good understanding of my handles. I think that they are, let me see them in this picture here. Ooh. They're kind of very nice. I wish there was a nicer picture because they seem to be kind of like a sideways extrusion. Quite pretty and detailed. But I'm not going to model them with that whole level of detail because I think that I've already gone hard enough on this one. And again, your client is probably not paying you to model all of this with this level of detail. It's just that I am super extra. So this one is just going to be a simple extrusion. At some point, you need to learn when to stop. So I'm going to just do a simple extrusion here. There we go. Let's put it there. That's fine. I can delete this. I'm not going to make them very, very deep. I don't need to. So I'm going to go B for bucket, pick up the material before I extrude it. I'm going to extrude it outwards this time. And let's say that we're going to give it, what, like half an inch? An inch? Let's give them an inch. Sure. I'm going to do things a little bit differently with the handle. I'm not going to like create a new material. Instead, I'm just going to use projected like I did with the legs. So I'm going to pick. And then I'm going to paint everything. And see, this is why I always draw it a little bit smaller. So that way the sides can take on the same color instead of taking the color of the drawer, for example. So right click, make component. This is going to be handle. There you go. And now all I need to do is move it. What was it? 8 feet, 4 plus 4, 8. And now for my second handle, all I need to do is M plus control, and we're going to copy it down. And look at that. Ooh, I don't like that. Should I model the second? No, Irene, stop yourself. Know your limit, play within it. So once I'm done, I'm just going to select the whole thing, right click, component, and this is going to be my nightstand. Is that how you write nightstand? Yes, that's how you write nightstand. And create. And that is pretty much it. So see, you can decide how much detail you want your geometry to have. Obviously, the more relevant to your design the geometry is, the more detail you're going to want to put on it. But keep in mind that if this is not an element of your design, you should not be spending a significant amount of time modeling it, because you could place it in the project and the client could come tomorrow and say like, oh, I don't like that. Can we try a different nightstand? And then all of that time goes to waste. So you need to learn how to manage your time. But with that, we have reached the end of this video. I hope you find it helpful. If you have any questions, by all means, feel free to add them in the comments. Hope you liked the video. If you did, maybe consider subscribing, and that way you will get a notification every time that I post a new video. But otherwise, thank you very much for coming in. Thank you very much for sticking through, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.